Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome back to Houselights, our director discussion show here on the Nerd Party Network. This week, we're finishing off The Wing of Predator with our latest installment of the franchise, Dan Trachtenberg's Predator Badlands. Following Deck, the runt of the litter predator, eager to prove himself and use the tools at his disposal to survive a deadly planet hunt. Sounds like he might be teaming up with Adrian Brody. I mean Cynthia, as they try to survive and figure out what it means to be a part of a pack. I'm your host this evening, Synthetic Daron, consisting only of a left arm, and I'm joined again by my friends, quote, brothers Trist of the Utah and Mills of the Not Yet. Both Tristan and John are chomping at the bit, much like the trees of this planet. It is time to bail out at almost interplanetary speeds as we discuss Predator Badlands. I'm very, very excited for this, gentlemen.
Tristan's more excited than either one of us could possibly be because he's been bothering us for a week. Like, why haven't you watched it yet? Why haven't you watched it yet? Text every 12 hours.
We
were just got done recording last week, and it was the next day, and I was like, let's record early. Let's do it right now. Let's do it tonight. You're like, shut up. Stop texting me.
We have a life outside the show, Tristan. but no, I mean, I think once each of us had finally had the time to watch it, I think we were all like, okay, we're ready, even though we're not ready. But no, the time is finally here.
It's definitely a movie that spurs discussion because there's a lot where, like, I know through this entire discussion, I'm going to be separating out in my brain, like script and story from technical stuff because I think that both of those things deserve their own discussions because, our director-focused podcast and everything, this in terms of technical prowess, in terms of what overall they're able to pull off visually, I was so legitimately impressed with what Trachtenberg did because the environments were convincing to me. I know all of the tricks.
Right.
And to get me to a place where there were certain moments where I was like, oh, wait, okay, hold on. I know the tech. How did they do this one? That, I think, deserves a special shout out because that's an achievement, especially in today's very, very effects savvy world, to have a moment where I wasn't like in awe or like weeping for its beauty. I was like, okay, that was kind of neat. How did they pull that one off? Like it was really something. Like I think Trachtenberg really showed off like a Kaczynski level comfort with environment in terms of effects. Sorry, I know I'm like going off that road, but like that's why I think
you are right up the right tree. I think there's a lot of this movie where the effects disappear. Like I forget that this is supposed to be an alien world. Like I never think, is he on an entire green screen or are they just adding a little bit of sci-fi plants to a normal background? Like, just finding the right blend. And even with the main, creature, I forget its name, but the thing he's hunting, like obviously it's a completely
something like that.
Yeah. It obviously is completely CG, but it was the right amount of, they put the right amount of money into it where it looked good, but I didn't feel like it needed to be, this is so photoreal. I believe, like, I'm never going to believe it's real because it's just the nature of the character. But I think they put the money where they needed to. Things like, Deck's face, like that had to be the number one. It had to be convincing every shot, every time, or the character falls apart. And I think the fact that they incorporated his real eyes in the majority of the shots, obviously not 100%. I'm sure there were moments where, they had to replace it, but he's there in a, full on dread makeup, 90% of the body all covered with just the, the face cut out and tracking markers. and they're not only replacing his face, but figuring out how Predator jowls are going to move and sound and click every moment.
Yeah.
Like that in
It's not like
is a feat.
It's not like a Na'vi or Gollum or something like that,
Right.
where there's 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and lips,
has no
and
lips.
everything. Yeah, he has no lips. You're absolutely right. And so they hired 7 VFX houses, including the big dogs like ILM, Weta, and Rising Sun, Trickster, Important Looking Pirates, The Yard FX, and Frame Store. So, and this being Trachtenberg's biggest film to date, especially special effects wise, the fact that he was able to pull this off and put his trust in his people, put his trust in his effects houses, because he went on record talking about how, you know, like when you're cutting the film together, you're cutting it without special effects. You're like, I hope this comes together. Like he put a lot of faith in his vision as well as the vision of others. And then as the special effects started coming in, he thought it was really interesting because it started changing performances and changing the tones of the scene to what he initially expected. And he's like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes you have to kind of roll with it. Other times you have to manipulate it. And I think that's a director with a good head on his shoulders, where he has an idea of where he wants to go, but he lets the technology as well as the story take him where it needs to go.
So we're going to talk about effects and all of that, but I want to pivot to the prologue, to the beginning, the setup, the kickoff of the story, because man, I was hooked. You know, the line that did it for me was, you know, between the brothers, when you now knew, oh, he's not trying to kill him, he's trying to prepare him. He cares about him. He wants him to do better, to train better. And you're like, oh, I've never seen this dynamic in the Predators. And to the father killing his, like that whole, like, it's like a opera just playing out on it in a galactic stage. But I was so hooked for our protagonist. I was like, I want to know his story. I'm ready for him to be in his adventure. You know, here we go. And again, they're explaining why he's smaller, why he doesn't have his cloak, why, like, all of these things are shown, and not like a scrolling text of, on day 35 of this planet, this alien did this. Like, no, we were shown in such an interesting way that we get character motivation, we get family dynamics, we get more of the culture. John, you know, when you first watched this, were you just as nailed for the premise, or was it like, show me a little bit more? How did it come across to you?
Oh, it was a little like, I'm looking for the right word, but it threw me a little off balance, because there's a decision here, a very important decision point, wherein this is the first time we're seeing Predator culture, quote unquote, something we talked about in like previous ones. It was like, oh, who was the scientist? Who built the ships? That sort of thing. And it's like, in this case, we're seeing that there is a functional culture. I still have questions about how certain things function, but that's okay. But like, this is just with the opening epigraph, that there's a codex, and they're like, so, okay, so this is like a code. This is like a religious thing. Like, this is, you know, it's like they immediately throw things out there. And then seeing an actual family dynamic happening, and seeing how not just, not just our protagonist Predator, but his brother are showing something that's recognizable to us as a quote unquote, you know, like a human audience can recognize what's going on here. That the father is regarding the brother as a failure because he didn't kill the runt like he was supposed to. So the brother failed his test and, you know, gets killed as a result. Like, it's one of those things where I think they're in very tricky territory, because I don't know that I want them to recast the Predator from the first one or the second one, so that I'm like, oh, well, he's just out for his hunt sort of thing. It's like, you get into really tricky territory.
What do you mean by that?
Gotta sell it. And I think that, well, the Predator in the first one and the second one, and even in Predators and in Prey, it's a monster. It's a scary monster. And it's one of those things where when you start layering on this sort of cultural backstory to the monster, it makes it a little trickier to go back and watch the first one if you're going to apply what you learn here to the same monster dynamic. There is no depth to the Predator in the first one. It's simply an adversary. It's an animal. It's a rancor. It's a Dianoga. It's all of these things that are out there that we're scared of. An alligator, whatever it is. And like when you start thinking about it in different terms, it can change the experience of everything else around it. So I think it's tricky territory. But for this film, it's establishing why I should care about this Predator, and I think it's successful in that regard. I'm talking that point there is about applying it to the franchise as a whole. Whereas within the film, yes, it sells me from the beginning. I'm like, okay, well, I want to follow this character now because this is interesting. What's going on?
Well, Tristan, I want your thoughts on that. The only piece I want to add in is I agree that the Predator is like the monster is the opposition force, but I will say it's slightly elevated above like a rancor or an animal because of its use of tech, like the way we've seen, it's smart. It's basically like the movies where we see man hunting man. And that is such an interesting aspect because it has cunning, it has traps, it has technology. So, but Tristan, with this, like John says, now we're double downing on the culture and this, which we've always seen on the fringes of the story. And you always were left wanting more. And this is like ma and pa Predator, on the farm. I mean, with pointy rocks, I guess. But no, how did, the beginning of this sell you on the journey we were going to take, or any of your thoughts on what John and I are saying?
I think they did a really good job of figuring out how to make it interesting and make it different because, the Predator always loses. Every single movie, the Predator loses and he dies. I think the only time that he doesn't lose is a Predator versus Alien, but that's not really canon anymore. So it's really just like if you're just utilizing the Schwarzenegger onward, that line of canon, then yeah, the Predator always loses. And so if you're going to do something different, Trachtenberg asked the question, what if the Predator didn't lose? What if the Predator wins, but yet he is the protagonist? How does that work? And I think the first idea that he came up with is like, okay, what if he's like fighting the Nazis or something? And it kind of sounded like a throwaway thing where like, okay, of course, killing Nazis, pretty cool. So yeah, they're just going to do that. But having him go on a ritualistic hunt on another planet and going after an animal-like creature, I think was a really smart move because, to John, to your point, I don't think it, and I'm not saying you were saying this, but I don't think it takes anything away from the initial forces of nature that the Predators were in Schwarzenegger and Glover and everything like that, because I felt like, to Darren's point, with them being smart and technological and so ritualistic with their hunt, you knew that there was some culture behind that. You knew there had to be some reason, and you look at our own culture where, a young man goes out on his first hunt. You look at so many cultures in the Americas or in Asia or Europe or in Africa where it's such a cornerstone of the maturity experience. And I think it's just kind of showing us that the Yucha are just amped up to 11. It's like a mixture of Klingon and Herosian.
But let me also throw out there though what's interesting about it, because the journey that this specific Predator goes on is one where when he recognizes the intelligence in the creature he's going after, he changes his goal. It's no longer hunting; it's protection and family and that sort of stuff, and which is beautiful. I think it's actually a beautiful thing. But then it makes, if anything, what I like about that is that it then very trickily undercuts how abnormal this predator's journey is, where now the predators that we've encountered before are even more monstrous because this predator, upon recognizing intelligence, is like, it's wrong to kill something like this or treat it this way. Whereas the other predators, they encounter arguably reasonably intelligent primates who they're like, yeah, I don't care. Smart, whatever. I'll hunt whatever it is. Whereas like this predator, I think that's actually a very interesting dynamic that the movie winds up playing with. And I think that there would be other instances where I think people could be dismissive, but I think Trachtenberg has shown at this point that he's very consciously doing that. He's very consciously setting up how different this guy is, how unique this flip, the switch goes in his brain to recognize intelligence means I shouldn't do this to the thing, which makes him, if anything, more human than the company that sends robots out to go treat the intelligent animals like this.
Well, and it's, yeah, there's some key lines of dialogue, when he starts to refer to his brother as the wolf, or when he's talking, with the synth about, weakness and she's teaching him about, different species that work as a pack, and it's not a monoculture of, that's, I really like seeing what Trachtenberg is doing with the predator culture, because I don't want it to be a monoculture. I don't want it to be, because monocultures break down when you really start to think about it, where you're like, so if tactically an alliance makes sense, but your culture says everyone for themselves, like you're not going to get very far. There's only so much you can do. And so as, this Yucha is able to kind of be not the first we've seen, who has this different clan aspect, has this different way of looking at things because of his upbringing, because of being like you see his story forming this type of what his tribe is going to be. And it's not like, why is he different? It's like, no, you see why he's different because of all the building blocks into his character. And that's just good storytelling. So it's not all the Yucha, it's not all deck here. Elle Fanning as our amazing synth, Thea, and actually both synths, which she played so differently. I did not realize at first that it was the same actress playing both. Like I assumed that it would be, but maybe just the one missing eye or something did it. But again, a fun character, a great way of writing comedic beats into the story, but not heavy-handing, not taking it too far. Technically, I know she's a synth, but technically she's the only quote-unquote human expression in this movie. There are no humans in this entire story. So her being there also acts as a grounding. She's using expressions we're, used to. She talks in English the entire time, through a handy wave of is this going to be a new category of translation, Tristan? We had the Armageddon step over in Hunt for Red October. Is this, my translation circuit makes it sound like you can hear whatever you're meant to hear. I'm like, I kind of like that universal translator.
It's such I considered it such, I got a chuckle out of that because it was such a clever wink at the audience of like, we're not going to subtitle Predator the whole time, guys. Right. It's okay. We're going to make it through. Yeah. I thought that was such a that's the type of wink at the audience that I enjoy, where it was just, it was very cute to insert the line where it was like, yeah, you're just going to hear what you're supposed to hear. I was like,
yeah, okay, don't think about it. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't think about it. I enjoyed that. Although I was a little confused at first because I was like, okay, so what are they hearing? What are they saying? And then it made me doubly confused later on when she started speaking the language, like Yucha, the Yucha language. I was like, okay, how is this working? What is this happening? And it's just it basically everyone hears their own language, and she was actually speaking Yucha in that scene, and to the fact that the other synth was like, why are you speaking his language? So that one made my brain break just a little bit.
I agree. Later, it does get a little muddled. The way I think because it had been so long since the first scene where she explains it, we kind of needed a refresher of what's going on. I viewed it as there are 2 times she's talking in his language. She's talking specifically in Yucha language when she says the words and we hear Predator language, and then she switches to this hand wave universal translator mode in which we hear English because we're human and he hears Yucha. And then later, I think where she's twisting it is she's switching back to Yucha so that the synths aren't hearing universal translator English, and it's her covert way of talking, which also kind of, again, they could have explained it a little better, where I was like, why do the other synths not understand this language? Like, I understand she's a little more specialized, and I got there, but I had to get there really quickly because the scene kept going. Again, not a terrible thing, but
if I'm willing to overlook Klingon swear words and kelicams when they're supposedly speaking the universal translator, I can let this one go too.
It's always there. Yeah.
So I want to know what you guys thought of the actual Yucha language. And actually, let me get a little bit more specific. So the lead, the guy who played Deck, actually spoke that during the movie. Like that's him speaking. I mean, obviously affected, but that's him speaking that made up language. They brought in a linguist who was a student of the guy who created the Na'vi language in Avatar. And so they actually made the Yucha language. So whenever he wanted to improvise or say something else, he had to teach himself how to say it in Yucha before he could actually say it. And part of me is going, why did you do that? You're going to be CGIing his face the entire time. Why wouldn't you just let the actor speak English, speak the language he wanted to speak, and then that way he could improvise or like change his verbiage or kind of roll with it if he needed to, and then you're going to CGI his face and then just ADR it later. I don't understand that. Why wouldn't you do that?
You know what? I'll throw this out there to you.
I have an idea, but go ahead, John.
Well,
I want to hear your point.
I'm going to go out on 2 limbs here. First limb, it makes it easier on the people mapping the face because the lip movement will remain real. And 2, it's a way to punish your actor for trying to change the lines in your script. And he has to really want to do it. He can't just say something on the fly. There you go. Those are your two choices. There you go.
No,
yes.
I agree. I think there is a subtlety in the performance that you're not going to get with English. The bounce of a head, the rhythm of emotion, even though they're CGIing the face, the fact that they're carrying through the eyes, they're carrying through as much as they can. We've all seen it with a bad dub when someone's like, I'm so happy, and they're bouncing on a 1, 2, 3, and then you put in a different beat of words and it doesn't match and it doesn't flow. Also, I honestly think it helps the actor portray an alien better, like talking in different words and having different, guttural and trill sounds. Like, I think it's just even more of the performance is coming through. So I totally see, like, they could have done it the English way and the dubbing way, but I think they got a better performance the way they did it.
Oh, I'm sure you're right, and you guys make some really solid points. I'm so terrible with languages that I absolutely would have punked out and said, like, we'll just dub it.
You're not going to see my face, right? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
No, and so we have our characters. We're putting them together. We're on this planet, and again, this planet. I'm glad. I can see why there's no humans on this planet. This planet is like death. Everything is trying to kill you. The trees, the birds,
Like even that opening shot when they have the title on it, like everything's killing everything in that one shot.
Like you see a little bird and then it like gets too close to something and goes, zoop, and it's like, oh. There's always a bigger fish in every shot of this movie. But again, I liked all the alien monsters. Nothing felt reused. Nothing felt like, oh, I've seen that monster before. Like it was fresh and unique. And again, having, our synth be able to give us Englishish words, like the rock monster this or the boulder beast or like that makes more sense than the Yucha saying something in his like that. We would have no context. There'd be no connection. It's like, oh, it's like a Failure beast. It's like, sure. I don't know what that means, but okay.
I know that we mentioned Star Trek a couple of times in this, but like one thing I always kind of wished that Star Trek did more was what you just talked about, Darren, where they're just like, oh my God, it looks like a Failure, and like in the audience just doesn't know. But they're like, but it's in Star Trek, it's always like, oh man, my goodness, that looks like a Felurian spider, or that's a Watusian falcon. You're like, don't just
it's like
put a proper noun in front of it.
Or alien place, human species. Like that's the pairing you always get. Yeah.
100% of the time.
The thing that I liked a whole lot, actually, what I thought was really clever on the part of everybody that worked on this, and of course you got to give credit to the director for giving it shape, is the fact that they had something that was cute that paid off later, because the moment where you figure out and you go, oh, that's a grown-up one. That's such a great moment where you see it pay off story-wise, where you're like, oh, okay. I really enjoyed that. I don't know
if Tristan agrees with you, John.
Tristan doesn't need to agree with me, but he's wrong in this case. That's fine. I enjoyed it a great deal.
No, I liked the reveal. I think that was interesting. I didn't like how cute Bud was. It was really off-putting, and he was too monkey-like. I think if they made him less like keep the cuteness factor, that's fine. Make him less like a monkey, I would have been on board. Honestly, it deterred my enjoyment of this film quite a lot because of how monkey-like Bud was. I was just like, okay, because like movies that have a monkey in them, like that's a negative. When I say, like, if I'm reading a script or if I'm talking to a friend about an idea, or if I'm seeing a trailer and all of a sudden a monkey pops up, that's when I say, well, the script is good or the movie's good, but it has a monkey in it.
Right.
Like that's how I would say.
Me, what was it? Blurg from Lost in Space.
The
1998 movie. Like,
okay, hold on. That movie had a lot more problems than just Blurg.
No, I'm just saying. Okay. It had a monkey.
Yes, it had a space monkey.
It had a space monkey.
A Floxian space monkey was in there. Yes.
A Floxian space monkey. Yes. I think that's the thing. It's just like, that's how I would just describe this. I was like, oh yeah, Predator Badlands. It's really cool. It's got this. It's got a synth. It's got an alien connection. You really connect with the protagonist. It has a monkey though, but you can move past that.
All right.
No, but see, the thing is, they didn't dwell on the monkey too much, I don't think. And the thing is, to have it pay off in the fact that it, marking the Predator is what saves them all in the end. Like I thought that was actually like it made the cuteness pay off I think in a very significant way, and also, in a strange way, it plays on this whole thing where people love to see the cute animal, like where the animal is cute, like a tiger cub is adorable, but that thing is going to eat your face, right? It gets angry, you're dead, sort of thing when it's grown up. But like, people fall prey to, hey, another Predator reference, fall prey to that cuteness impulse.
I love that.
That just makes you think of Galaxy Quest with.
I was opening my mouth
Guy,
to say that.
where he's like, yeah, he's cute now, but then soon there's going to be mean, and there's going to be 10,000 more of them, and then that's exactly what happens.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I see your point, Tristan. I think also the second phase we see of the monkey, I'm just calling him that now, but like when they get back to the predator's home planet and he's actually grown and he's a little more like, I see though why they didn't use that form in the first form, because it's too much like the mom. You would have made the connection right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like when they showed up to the back on his home planet, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like that's a cool design. I like that. If they just kind of shrunk that, I would be into it. Honestly, like again, I don't mind the cuteness factor. I just don't like that it looked like a monkey. Make it any other kind of animal.
We're gonna really have to like sort of at some future point, not during a show, we're gonna have to really like sit down and like analyze this whole monkey hatred that you have. It's very intriguing to me.
No,
I
shut
feel
your
like
mouth.
there's some
friggin'
deeper
love
issues
monkeys
here.
No, I freaking love monkeys.
Okay. You just don't want to give them a voice in Hollywood. That's wrong.
I don't know.
Right. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. No, monkeys
okay,
and apes are my favorite animals, hands down. I just don't want a cutesy monkey in my Predator movie.
This is definitely a conversation I did not anticipate having about Predator Badlands. So
right?
I
didn't either.
Okay,
but we're having it.
I've learned something new after
felt the need to put it in there.
All of these years that we've known each other, I never knew this specific aspect of your movie-going habits. And now I'm just going to ship you copies of monkey horror movies like Monkey Shines. Yeah. And you know what? We'll have to have to see Primate sometime soon. So,
oh God, that movie. I haven't seen it. But anyway,
right, so bringing it back around. Let's talk about the music a bit. So we had a dual composer situation, but for Sarah Schachner. Thank you.
Schachner.
She returned from Prey. So we've seen her, paired with Dan before. I really enjoyed the music for this. It was very up and go, had a lot of, great moments. I don't think I remember hearing a quote unquote Predator theme. There was no da 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 da. I didn't need it. I'm not saying I wanted it. I'm just saying I'm glad it wasn't there. But I enjoyed it. It really worked with the visuals, with what we were getting, with the moments. But I didn't have a ton to say about it, but any thoughts, John, on the music?
I thought the music was good. I don't find it particularly memorable.
Granted.
But what's interesting is Schachner partners with Benjamin Wallfish, and he did Blade Runner 2049 and stuff like that. So I'd be very interested to see how they approach that, right? Was this something where they were truly collaborators, or was it something where it was like, hey, you take this type of music, you take this type of music, and you give me what you like? I would love to know more about what that working process was so that I can, get a lens into it. Like, was it a Last of the Mohicans where it wasn't really a collaborative, but it still wound up, this is not Last of the Mohicans level, of course, but
no,
like that sort of thing though, but like just in terms of a working relationship, were they in the studio together and like, splitting things up that way?
They composed every other note like you do when you work together.
Yes, exactly.
John,
what do you think?
Did you get me the 2049 vinyl? Did you buy me that?
Yeah, you know what? I will say that I did.
Sounds like you, John. Sounds like a thing
you know what?
To a friend.
I am a very thoughtful person, so yes, I did that. Yes.
I mean, Wallfish's work on 2049 is just brilliant, and Schachner on Prey was really distinct. I think Prey was much more distinct than Badlands or Killer of Killers in terms of music. So I really what I'd love to do is actually, like, probably tomorrow when I'm working, I'm going to listen to Prey, Killer of Killers, and Badlands. I'm just going to do it all three in a row, and I really want to take a listen and kind of compare and figure out where I can hear Schachner, where I can hear Wallfish, because you have two really great composers, and I need to sit down and listen One thing I really did like was the choir piece at the end during the end credits. I thought that was really nice. That was really interesting. And apparently that was in the language of Yucha, which I think is a really nice touch.
I hadn't really thought about the closing credits music, but you're right. I left the closing credits going because I was enjoying that piece.
I did too.
That was actually something very nice to listen to.
It's the anti-James Cameron.
And Marvel has conditioned me to wait for extra trailer bits, so there was none, but I was like, it's a win-win.
What are you talking about? There was like a post. There was a post thing.
Like for a moment, like after a title card.
It was pretty quick. Yeah.
It wasn't like end of the credits. It was like mid-credit.
But that was actually one of the things that I didn't care for about the film. It's just my mom. No, the reason I did not like it was because of it was a very Marvel-esque sort of thing where it was like, and what zany hijinks are they going to get into next time? And I was like, this is sort of like undercut sort of the emotional weight of the actual ending. And I understand why they did it, but I didn't care for it at all. I thought it was much stronger to leave it at like, we just killed my dad. I've got my cloak. We are the clan. Yeah. Like Dom from Fast and Furious. They'd found their family.
Oh my God.
They were ready to go.
Every time.
Family. Yeah. No.
Together, strong.
I see that point.
Yes.
I mean, I was because it raised questions, but I think that's the point of it. It's supposed to be like, oh, why are they getting their swords out? Who is this coming here? Like, and then you're over, and you're like, oh, I mean, you're left wanting more in a tiny bit, which I don't think is necessarily wrong. Also, I kind of gave it a pass because I think Trachtenberg can totally deliver on whatever he sets up and does. So, if he wants to tease a tiny bit for where this might go, I say give it to him.
Your mileage may vary. That's just where I landed with it. But like,
you texted me that today, and I had to look up the acronym because I had no idea what that acronym was.
Well, I'm hip like the kids, and so that's that's me. That's my gift to you. But in all honesty, because like Darren, you're saying like, he's setting up the next chapter, and he's very open. If this is successful, we're going to have another one. It makes worldwide 184.5 on a
91 domestic, 893 international on a budget of 105, which is
that's not a smash.
Double,
not a smash, but I mean, it's also getting really good ratings and really good word of mouth. So,
but it has to win awards with that margin. I think it has to win like a visual effects award or something like that.
I think it will. It's in the
bag.
I
mean, they gave him 3 movies and 2 at once. I'm really hoping that they put some faith into him, saying like, okay, like this big budget, special effects movie didn't, I'm hoping that their expectations for this was not like, oh, we were hoping to make $500 million on this. I'm really hoping that 20th Century Fox or whatever the hell it's called now had normalized expectations for this.
I was just looking up Prey to see, what did it make? Well, it has no box office because it was on Hulu. Right. So all we have is the 65 million budget. So when you have a 65 million budget, you keep it on Earth. When you get 100 million, that's when you go to the other planets.
But I got to be honest with you guys. If we're talking Alien trilogies, not Alien as in like the elongated head H.R. Giger thing, but like
sci-fi
alien trilogies. I know. Okay, I'm going to take the hate here from whomever for this, but in terms of really creating something that I will come back and rewatch more frequently, Trachtenberg beat Cameron with these 3 movies. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to leave it right there. I know I'm a terrible monster
as opposed to Avatar.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. No,
I'll watch this instead of Avatar any day of the week.
And I'm a huge Avatar fan. And like I have defended the 2009 Avatar film ever since 2009. And Way of the Water, I thought was a great experience. I just saw the third.
Loved Way of Water.
And I saw the third one. which is basically just Way of the Water again. But the thing is that like the rewatchability, like you have such distinct differences between Prey, Killer of Killers, and Badlands that, like you can sit down and watch that trilogy and get a different experience with each single movie, not just not just in story, but also in style. With Avatar, specifically Avatar 2 and 3, you're basically getting the same movie with 2 and 3. And so with this one, it's just so varied and different. Absolutely. And I say that as an Avatar fan and defender.
We're
hardcore,
on your team, John.
Absolutely.
Great. I'm really happy about that. But okay, cool, great.
I want to ask you guys a question though. I want to ask you a question. I really hope that John doesn't roll his eyes. So with this question, I really thought that his journey, that Deck's journey was, people made the joke that this was Gen Z Predator because he's younger, it's new, he's got like the dreads kind of going back with the shaved sides and everything like that. I thought that was funny. But I felt like this was a fantastic metaphor for online toxic masculinity. And I know that phrase, okay, he's rolling his eyes. He's falling over. I get it. I totally get it.
I didn't just roll my eyes, I gouged them out. I'm blind
forever. And he fell over. Okay.
Yes.
I fully admit that phrase has been overused and abused. Totally get it. But hear me out. So with Deck's journey, he has an abusive childhood where he is not up to the standards of what is a Yucha, i.e. man. Like he's not up to the standards. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. He's too emotional. He cares too much, Okay, but so they're trying to beat it out of him. And since they can't beat it out of him, they're going to kill him. And then he moves on and then he gets to this new world and he's like, I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to be the manliest man that there is who has ever manned. And as he goes on, he sees this woman, this female figure who knows a lot more than he does about the region. And he's like, I got to hunt alone. And she's like, well, I can help you. He's like, so you're like a tool. And so he sees her like a thing. And that's his justification for utilizing her knowledge and her abilities. And so he sees her as just something that he can use, something that is just going to progress his story forward, his hunt. And as he's going on, we see his arc. We see him start to respect her, start to understand her reasoning, her rationale, see her as an individual, not as a tool, but as a being. And then that his empathy towards her allows him to see Bud, the monkey, the space monkey, and the Kalisk or whatever you call it, and recognize intelligence. And then he goes back home with his newfound family and his newfound respect for intelligence and women and say, I'm not going to be like you, Dad. I'm going to grow on and evolve in this generation. That's what I took from this. And I want to know what you guys took.
I did not take the same thing. I'm not dismissing what you're saying here. I took it in a slightly more macro sense, I guess, in the fact that it wasn't a specific commentary on toxic masculinity, but on challenging the way your family or your culture is set up and saying this isn't necessarily right, guys. Right? It's not. I'm not drilling down at that level, and I think that probably I didn't view Elle Fanning as a woman either, because I viewed Elle Fanning the way I saw Deck view her, which was
you're just part of the problem, John. Jeez.
Yeah, obviously so. Seeing a robot as a robot, I obviously, I'm antiquated at this point. I saw the tool thing more as, oh, you're a robot, and more of a discussion about, when the tool gets to be intelligent and reasoning, at what point do we draw a distinction as to whether the machine deserves its own autonomous respect. So maybe that's just me coming at it from an android perspective. But in terms of the hunting animals, I definitely see that, where it's like there is a line where most human cultures will look at an intelligent animal. Like, look at the way we look at dolphins now versus the way we looked at them before, or whales, or anything like that, where it's like once we recognize a spark of actual intelligence, we start to have a problem with it in terms of hunting. And we're like, okay, we kind of, we draw our lines in different places. So it's like, it's not that I'm dismissing what you're saying. I just think that that's a very specific way to look at it. And I'm maybe looking at it from a different facet. And that's just where I came at from it. And maybe I'm poisoned a little bit from watching, the latest Tron movie or something like that, which, it'll take a couple of weeks to get that out of my brain anyway. But like, I see it more in the context with her character specifically being the discussion about when we give personality to the machine, at what point is that personality making it a person? And that's how I saw that.
I mean, I think, yeah, I'm kind of like right there in the middle. I think overall, just the way the writing works is you can take it in different ways. You can take it at a deeper level and a more sci-fi speaking to modern issues level, which sci-fi is great at. But you can also take it at a more surface level. And the way I kind of viewed it was more on the Yucha culture. There's a lot of key lines that Deck says on, all about me. I'm hunting alone. Like, I only hunt alone. I don't need anyone. And it had less to do with her being a sentient being and more like she could have been a human. She could have been anything. And he would have still been like, nope, I hunt alone. And even when she's saying like, oh, he saved you when we were in the tree, and he's like, I'm not in the tree now. It's like, oh, that line right there speaks so much to the Yucha culture of like using alliances and partnerships and moments. And then once that moment is gone, you're back to the lone hunter. And that's really Deck's arc, is moving from the lone hunter to viewing the pack mentality. So no, I had not seen it quite that way, Tristan, but I also think it could be written with that in regard. Yeah, I think it just works without, it definitely doesn't hit you over the head with it, because you can view it without it
totally.
Just as
absolutely.
easily.
Well,
absolutely.
Well, the one thing where I'll give, I can definitely see the facet because of the discussion about the alpha, where she calls out, because alpha is obviously a term that's thrown out there. And there's some other term that my kids have told me that is out there where I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But like there's that whole alpha thing that was out in the culture for a bit. I don't know if it still is or not. And her recasting it as, it's not about being dominant. It's about being a protector. It's about being a positive. It's about making sure everybody's safe, not asserting dominance over everybody. That is definitely something where I could see that very clearly speaking to that aspect of, because I've never encountered it in real life. I always considered it an aspect of online culture. So, but I can definitely see where you could layer that on. My reticence to listen to Tristan had less to do with the point than the fact that I just don't like listening to Tristan. So, just qualifying it there.
I think that's fair.
I liked the fact that Deck first talks about Alpha and Wolf especially with his brother. His brother is the first one he sees as the wolf alpha, as the, being the protector. And again, that's his journey, having a brother. Like, honestly, his brother has more of an impact on this one character than any other character combined. He sets him on this journey. He saves his life. Like, it's really, if he didn't have his brother, we would have no story. And so for him to finally come around and be like, oh, it makes me understand how Deck can make the jumps in his culture because of that representation and that figure he had in his life.
Well, and while my father was nothing like the father in this, Deck and his
Thankfully.
brother, he had his moments, but like, no, I'm kidding. God rest your soul, Dad. I was just making a joke.
I was going to say, you love your father. Shut up.
Yeah, immensely. God rest him. But like the dynamic of that older brother dynamic is very recognizable for any kid brother, and I am a kid brother, so it's like that aspect. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what my brother would have done. Is my brother is to this day, as old as I am, he's still the quote unquote alpha of the two of us, but I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I'm like, yeah, okay, you got this, champ. But like, he would have been the one to be like, no, I'm going to send you off. I'm going to make sure you have a shot at this at the very least. That's always what a good older brother does, is like, he makes sure the kid brother has a shot at things.
All right. Well, I think we're running out of steam and the ship's going to come pick us up any moment. So let's get to our ratings, because as this is the end of this wing with Predator, we could also, after our ratings, go through and rank our feelings on the Predator franchise as it is, and hope they keep making them, because I definitely want to see more. So I'm going to start as I eject from my stasis pod at terminal velocity. I don't know how he survived that, but it made me feel like Riddick, like where he's coming out. They're coming out in a ice storm, and the thinnest suspension of disbelief. But hey,
it's like Indy in a fridge.
Yeah, they're built really tough.
Hey.
Their technology is really tough.
They got structural integrity fields in case the shields fail.
That's why the glass was cracking.
Just like the Enterprise. They got the structural integrity fields.
Yeah. All right. I'm giving this a 5. This was an amazing movie.
Whoa.
I will see it again. I love the characters. I want to watch it again. I want to dissect it. I want to look into the nuances of the performance. Just all of the pieces. I loved all the male synths that they all kind of look the same and they're just copies. Like, I love all the little bits in it. I love the super mech that was kind of like the power lifter, but with like a giant buzzsaw and a giant fight. Like it felt, and this movie wasn't, I did not feel any fan service in this. I didn't feel like, and here's an alien skull. Like, we have to put that in, and we have to put that, like, yes, Weyland-Yutani and a synth is enough. That's all I needed.
We barely talked about that, but I mean, it showed great restraint not to have the xenomorph in there. Where, like, if you never saw a single alien movie, you would still understand everything that's going on in this movie.
Yes.
And that this is in the future enough that we're in the time of Alien, of the company. The company is in existence. It's 21, 22 something, but it doesn't matter. We don't get any dates. We don't know exactly where we are. But I didn't need any of that. It was, again, a very small movie as far as it's this tiny portion of this planet and the company and the cast, very, very small, but that told a very intimate story. So I'm giving it 5 Yukchas.
Wow.
That's my big clan. John, take us away for your rating on Badlands.
Coming into the discussion, I had a lower rating than I'm going to wind up giving it. I was not particularly bowled over by the experience of watching it, but as I thought about it and as we've discussed it, my esteem for it has grown. In no small part because when I started talking, at the beginning of the episode, I think that there's a whole star I'm giving this film for its technical achievement. I think that it is positively amazing in terms of design, in terms of thoughtfulness about the environment, in terms of how it pulls off the vast majority of its shots, in terms of the face replacement with the way they did him. Like, it's virtually flawless. Like, there is, and there's definitely precedence for this too. I have to acknowledge technical prowess like that. That is directorial excellence right there. In terms of, is this a movie that lights me on fire? I wasn't quite there with it. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't quite there with it. So overall, it was like a 3, where I was like, okay, this sort of like sets up a series, and I really can't stress enough how much I hated the, oh, it's my mom bit. I was like, you just dragged this all the way down to a series premiere sort of thing where I'm like, gosh darn it, but because of the technical prowess, I am willing to very generously and I think very rightly bump it up. So I will wind up giving it a 4.
I absolutely hate that I'm giving it the lowest score.
You don't have to. You can still give it whatever score you want, Tristan.
You got
Be
space,
influenced
Tristan.
by your peers.
So I gave it, when I watched it, I gave it a 3.5, but a good 3.5. Like 3.5 is a good score. It's a really good score, and I think I want to stay with that because I want to watch it again. I want to enjoy it again, and I'm going to enjoy it again. I'm going to stick with the 3.5 because the monkey pissed me off. I think the monkey pissed me off, and also I feel like it dragged a lot in the second act.
Oh, I disagree completely.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
I think it dragged. I think it had some pacing issues a little bit. I could easily give this a 4 if I watch it again. I cannot give it a 4 at the time of this recording, but I could easily lean towards it because as of right now, it's my third favorite Predator film. Where at the top is Prey, the original Predator, which I only gave a 4 because of the history that it brings. Then Predator Badlands. Then I'm cheating and putting in AVP and number 4.
No, your list is now invalid.
No,
Done.
I didn't say Requiem.
No,
I didn't say Requiem.
Oh, the Requiem, I'm just going to hang up right now. I'm not even going to finish the show. No.
Requiem's not even on the list. AVP is a good movie. I don't care. Screw you. I like AVP. And then we go The Predator from 2018, then Predators with Brody,
That's
and
insane.
then finally with Predator 2.
That's insane. That's insane. Never mind.
This is a sane person's list, so I don't know why you're saying insane.
All right. So I gave it a 3.5. Yeah, my overall ranking, very similar. 1, I give to Predator. It's just as a standalone. Often for me, if it works as a standalone, if this is all we got was the first one from 87, I'd die happy man. Like that, it set it up. It gave us all this interesting bits. So it has to be number 1 for me. I'm giving this my number 2 slot. This was really enjoyable. If I was introducing someone to Predator, I would show them the original and then this one as the second one, and they'd be off to the races. And then they could pick what they wanted from the back catalog. 3, I give Predators. I really enjoyed that. Just the whole different people on the planet and all of that made the Adrian Brody joke at the beginning. 4, I give to Prey. Was unique in its aspects. A different time period. 5, Predator 2. I have a bit of nostalgia for it. It's a very 90s movie, and I gave PUC and all that stuff. It's just fun. Is it a great movie? No, absolutely not. But I give it my number 5 slot. 6, Killers of Killers. It didn't really do it for me. We kind of talked about it last week. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it was just not my.
Oh crap! I didn't put Killer of Killers in there.
No, you put AVP in. You made your bed.
So see, like I said, your entire list is invalid. Your vote is
it's
thrown
literally
out.
the other Trachtenberg. It's literally the director we're talking about, Tristan. If the 3 that should have been on your list, it's one of those 3. And then my last is The Predator. God, that I will never watch that movie again. I want to burn it from all time. That movie was so bad. John, if you have grace us with your order for the Predators franchise.
Now, I'm going to very clearly say here that, especially looking back at my ratings, the distinctions here, like everything that exists between my number 1 and my last slot, can shift at any time depending on my mood.
Those are the touchstones. Everything in the middle is mood, and
everything in the middle is moods. Everything in the middle is sort of like tied for second, sort of thing,
including a Killer of Killers. You wouldn't make a list and not put that on it, John.
No,
right?
When I make a list, Darren, I pay attention to detail. And I don't just go to ChatGPT and have it done. I just go ahead and I put it
dare
together
you? I
myself.
use Claude.
That's a line,
Oh,
John.
okay.
Don't cross that
No, you
line.
use Claude for coding, Tristan. Come on now. That's
All right,
nonsense.
give us your list, John. Give
All
us your
right,
list.
my number one obviously is Predator. Fine, whatever. Say I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses. I
Quote
freaking love
unquote, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Predator is just, it's John McTiernan's on fire at that point in his career. Absolutely adore it. Now, it gets a little trickier because I want to give second spot to Predator 2, just because I love angering Tristan. But I'll be honest with you that in terms of overall enjoyment, my number 2 is Predators with Adrian Brody. As much as I hate the last line, I really enjoy Predators. Then coming in at number 3, coming in at a strong number 3 is actually going to be Badlands, because I enjoy the fact, you'll notice with Predator, you have the set alone thing. Predators, you expand the lore. Predator Badlands, you expand it even further. Then you're going to come in with Predator Killer of Killers, and you're going to expand it even more.
Just expanding.
You'll notice like this goes in an expanding world sort of thing. And then again, keeping in mind all the distinctions are very tiny, okay, and depends on mood. Predator 2 comes in just because Cocaine Busey and the insanity being in LA and like what they thought LA was going to look like in 1997. It's a drug. Just mainline it. Put it into my chest like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. Then Prey, which is a really enjoyable experience. And then The Predator, which is a movie that I have trouble acknowledging even exists. And that's my list.
I think we all put that at the very end of our list.
No. Tristan did not put The Predator at the end because he was too busy making sure that AVP could make it into his list instead of Killer of Killers.
I put The Predator above Predators.
That's
Really?
insane.
Okay.
That's insane.
That's a
But
choice.
okay.
That's a choice.
That is a choice.
Okay, so I redid my list and I moved everything down a notch.
Nope. It's locked in stone.
Screw you.
Nope, done.
Okay,
I moved
where
everything
did you
down a
slide
notch.
in Killer of Killers?
Killer of Killers is in the 2 spot.
Interesting. Okay.
So it goes Prey, then Killer of Killers, then everything else, like I said. Then Predator, Badlands.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a really fun discussion. I think an amazing movie. I'm really excited. I hope that Trachtenberg gets another. I give him 2 more. Give him another 2 more movies to round out his plot. We'll carry on his protagonist deck. I want to see it. I want to see what he does because I know he's going to change it up. It's going to give us something new. It's not going to be. Although, granted, if he went back in time to the 90s of LA during a summer heat wave, I would still watch it. I would buckle up for mainlining that, as John would say. So that concludes our Wing of Predator here on Houselights. Next week, we're going to go back to Michael Curtiz, an amazing director, back to 1938 with The Adventures of Robin Hood here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.